Hello, and welcome back to the Dear Ones podcast. My name is Dwani, and I'm here with a series of 11 episodes where we learn how to navigate from our older version to our newer version, but together. Today, we're going to talk about something that's not the beginning, where everything feels really confusing, and it's also not the stage where everything suddenly becomes really clear and you've got all the clarity. But it's somewhere in between, where you have already started changing, but the world around you still feels the same. And in that space, something unexpected begins to surface. Guilt. Not the loud, obvious guilt, but a quiet, lingering feeling, like you're doing something wrong, like you've changed too much. Like maybe you're just hurting people by being this different. And the most confusing part here is that you don't even know why you feel this way. Because all you're really trying to do is grow. And the truth is, growth doesn't just change your life. It changes how people experience you. The way you respond starts shifting. The way you speak becomes more honest. You pause before saying yes, and you don't immediately adjust yourself to make things easier. And these changes may seem small in the beginning, possibly invisible, but over time, they become noticeable. Because for a certain time, you have lived a certain way. You had patterns, ways of reacting, ways of adjusting, ways of making sure that things stayed smooth, even if it meant that you had to shrink a little. And that version of you was familiar, not just to others, but to you as well. So when you decide to show up differently now, it doesn't feel natural yet. And that's something we don't talk about enough. We expect ourselves to change and feel immediately comfortable with it. But that's not how it works. You've literally spent years building this old self through repetition, through habits, through situations that shaped how you respond. So of course, this new version of you is going to feel unfamiliar. You're building something new. And anything new takes time. And honestly, you should take time, because you're trying to be someone who you've never been before. And it's like a muscle memory. Your mind and body are used to reacting in a certain way. And now you're slowly teaching yourself something different. For example, you wake up and you brush your teeth every day, I hope. Whichever hand you brush with, that's your muscle memory, basically. You can't miss doing that. But for once, next time when you brush your teeth, switch hands and see how comfortable you are with it, or not. Because when you do something different within the same habit that you have, or just make minor changes in it, it opens new neural pathways in your brain. It's a whole different topic. We'll talk about it later. But coming back to the point, it's a muscle memory that you're trying to build. So there will be moments that you hesitate. Moments where you want to go back to your old pattern. Moments where you question yourself. And that doesn't mean you're failing. It means that you're in the process of rewiring. And while all of this is happening within you, there's also something happening around you. The people in your life, they don't know about this version yet. They know the version that adapted, the version that made things easier, the version that fit into certain roles without resistance. So when you start shifting, it feels unfamiliar to them. And unfamiliarity often feels uncomfortable. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something different. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to feel that discomfort. Not just your own, but theirs too. Maybe it shows up in subtle ways. Small reactions, subtle changes in your tone, in moments where things feel slightly off. You immediately start picking up on it. And then you ask this question to yourself: am I the problem? Because the old version of you, it was liked, it was accepted, it kept things smooth. And this new version, it feels more honest, more clear, but also a little heavier to carry. Because now you're not just thinking about others, you're thinking about yourself too. But it does create a quiet conflict inside you, where one part of you knows this is who you're becoming, and another part of you wonders if you're becoming too much, too different, too difficult, too hard to understand. And that's where the guilt starts to grow. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're no longer doing what you used to do. And when this inner conflict builds, it doesn't always come out calmly. Sometimes it turns into defensiveness. For example, if there's a person, there's a friend, there's someone who you always tend to say yes to, or you have a yes, okay, I'll do anything you say problem, like I had before. And internally, you do realize that you know better now and you want to say no. But just because of that hesitation, that inner conflict of whether or whether not you should do that, you come across as someone who is a little frustrated, and your irritation does tend to show outside. And you go like, oh no, but I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no, but I didn't say yes. Are you getting my point? The point is that no matter what you're thinking inside, you will be perceived as someone who's just giving a really off reaction, because there's an internal conflict going inside you. You might find yourself reacting really quickly, explaining yourself with frustration, feeling the need to protect your space, but not knowing how to do that fully yet. And that's okay, because you're not just learning how to change. You're learning how to hold that change. And that takes time. But none of this means that you're a bad person. It means that you're becoming someone who no longer abandons themselves. Someone who is learning to take up space, exist loudly, also exist with a little more honesty, to say what they actually feel instead of keeping things comfortable. And the respect, the care, the understanding that you once offered to others generously, you are now slowly learning to give that back to yourself. And yes, this will change the way people see you. There's no way around it, because you will be different in different people's stories. For some, you'll be the person who grew. For others, you may be the person who changed too much. For some, you'll be understood. For others, you won't. And that's not something that you can fully control, because people don't see you fully. They see you through their experience of you. So instead of trying to manage every perception, you come back to yourself and ask, am I acting from truth or fear? Am I doing this for me or just to be accepted? And sometimes the answer will depend, because not every situation is the same. There are relationships that matter deeply, and in those spaces, you can choose to explain, to communicate, to let them understand your growth. but not from a place of needing their approval, but from a place of clarity, from a place of being grounded within yourself. And with others, it's okay to not explain everything. It's okay to just be, to not justify every decision, to not soften every truth, to not make yourself smaller just to be easier to understand. And at the end of the day, if your intention was clear, it was not to hurt someone, and your heart is clear, you are allowed to stand in your own truth. You are allowed to take your space. You are allowed to choose yourself. And so this time, people won't get the version of you that they used to. They will get the version that is real. And maybe that's what this phase is really about. Not becoming liked by everyone, but becoming honest enough to no longer pretend. Even if sometimes that honesty makes you feel like a bad person. Because the truth is, you're not becoming bad. You are just no longer abandoning yourself. And for the first time, you are learning what it means to stand by who you really are. And that's why, if you've reached this far in the episode, I'd like to take a moment and say I'm so grateful and I'm really proud of you for choosing yourself and for showing up for yourself. And now that we've reached the end of our episode, I have a confession to make. I'm not there yet either, but I'm choosing this version of myself today. And if you're too, then we are walking together. Let me know in the comment section if you have any feedback, any questions, or anything else you'd like to get more info on, or something that you would like to know from me. And I'll see you next week.